Well, another session spent within the near term range. One of the main pivots we were watching coming into today was that 4580, that daily level of interest, that pivot here. You can see the blue zone on the 30-minute chart here. And essentially what we wanted to see was whether or not buyers were going to defend that 4580 zone. We had to move higher overnight. Price kind of pulls back into that 4580. I believe there was a bit of news during the pre-market session, and we move up to test that 4,600, that late August swing high. Also happens to be last Friday's high as well, where we know there were a lot of trapped longs. So price opens in this area. Main watch off the open was that 4,600 level. Essentially what we saw right off the open is pretty much instant sell-off. Price test that prior day high. You do have a decent bounce opportunity right there versus the prior day high. But beyond that, no real follow through. There's a big time resistance zone. As I've mentioned previously over the past couple of days, most likely price is going to stay within the range until we have that catalyst to kind of ignite things and move out of the range essentially. And that is most likely going to be NFP on Friday. So I'd expect another day of range trading tomorrow, and then Friday may give us that kind of spark, that catalyst we need for price to move outside of the range. Now, as far as what we're looking at, I mean, once again, we're just down here into the near-term range low. So we're into a big area of support. Kind of depend on how we're looking during the overnight session for tomorrow's game plan. But once again, this is an area of support. You want to be kind of assessing buyer's appetite for any longs through this 45, 45, 45, 50 area right down here for a retest into the 45, 65, 45, 80, and potentially back up into the 4600. Now, everything above 45, 80 up into 4,600, that kind of 20-point zone there, has been a big area of supply. Every single test that we have seen above 45.80, so break above 45.80, break above. Look at all of the moves that actually sustained briefly above 45.80, met with pretty rapid selling, right? So there's still a huge amount of supply up in this 45.80 into 4,600 zone. Anytime we have a gap like we saw this morning into a known area of resistance, you want to be very, very careful trying any longs because probability favors price retesting support, retesting at least mid-range reference point, which was the 45.80, then 45.65. We have the range volume point of control there. Now we're down into the range low, right? And so not all that surprising to see that move transpire today. Once again, tomorrow we're looking to see if buyers are stepping in here to once again complete the range. And then Friday we'll look for potentially that range breakout. Now, as a reminder on range trading, the best opportunities when trading a range are at the edges. They're going to be at this 4,600 level. They're going to be at that 45.80 level. Now, I'm not really considering 45.80 to be the edge of the range anymore. If you saw my notes that I just posted in the think tank, I'm now considering the range 4,600 to 45.45. We have seen a bit of range expansion. 45.80 is still going to serve as a solid mid-range reference point right through here, of course. And then we want to keep an eye on the 45. Well, it's actually 45.70 now. So we have seen that near-term volume point of control kind of shift a few points higher here. It was the 45.65, closer to that 45.70 now, which is a little bit interesting. We are seeing that volume point of control kind of drift higher. So we'll see how this materializes into Friday. The main concern, if you're bullish right now, I posted a chart in the think tank, but the main concern that you want to keep an eye on, again, if you're bullish, is whether or not this structure right here on the daily chart is a selling climax. Take a look at the volume we're seeing here. So we're in a range and we're seeing pretty massive volume. This is unusual. And it kind of points to a clue that this could potentially be a selling climax. Now, we don't want to jump the gun or anything like that. Still need to wait for the range to break before we have any type of confirmation one way or another. The trend still does point higher. This is a normal correction for now, so probability does favor the longs, but we want to keep an open mind about how price could potentially develop just using the clues that we have here. And the main clue that I'm seeing is a couple of bearish bars, and once again, volume is kind of the main clue here. We have big volume in this range, above average volume. So that's ES. Tomorrow's watch just going to be near-term range low, assuming we don't have a bounce overnight. Now let's take a look at NQ. I know that on QQQ, more importantly, we did mention this morning that buyers need to defend this area. We're not even close to that zone anymore, not even close to that zone yet. What I did notice this morning is that with the gap higher, look where we opened, right near the past couple of weeks volume point of control. So if you can see that blue line through these candlesticks right here, essentially what that is that's a weekly profile. It's showing me where all of the volume was done for that week. So we have a ton of volume through here, essentially through this 390 area. Price opens right there, pretty immediately rejected, right? And we're back down into this week's volume point of control. So big picture, price is finding value. That's what a range is. Price is finding value here. But as always, with a range, at some point, we are going to trigger a directional move. And because of the length, because of the duration of this range, the directional move will likely be of considerable size. So that is something to be thinking about on both NQ as well as ES, likely due for a pretty sizable move. And again, I believe that it will likely be Friday. It's going to need some type of catalyst here to kind of give that spark to push this thing one way or another. Now, as far as individual names, list was quite dry, pretty short. We're looking at CVS. May have been some news in CVS today, trading on big volume. We do have relative strength here. Bit of a base breakout back up through the 200 MA. Looking for the continuation trade in CVS. We have PayPal, relative strength, also on big volume. So looking for a move up through 60.5. And then PayPal's peer, Square SQ, looking for, again, relative strength today, looking for some potential continuation in this name. That was it for individual names. We are into slow season for individual names, meaning we are outside of earnings season. We're outside of the time where you have a ton of catalysts. So if you do focus on primarily trading individual names, you want to have that awareness that the setups are going to be little fewer and farther between, right? Definitely a good time to be sharpening that index blade, to be working on your index game. So that's it for the end of day recap, the end of day scan. Some pretty good action today if you had it within your playbook to be shorting. I personally did not, so I focused on some long trades right through here. That was my main play for the session, one and done for me personally. The rest of the action, not the best opportunities for what I like to do. So we just sit on our hands, wait for that next fat pitch. I will see you guys tomorrow morning for the pre-market prep live stream. Hope everyone had a great day. Enjoy your afternoon.